And why don't we start with the question I always like to ask people at the beginning, because I feel like it's a good place to start, which is the who are you, where'd you come from, and what do you do?
Sure. So, Troy Farmer, I am a regional wealth strategist for BKD. And I come from a varied route to get here. I started my career as a CPA, as a tax accountant, went from there to a health insurance company in finance and accounting, but then went into actually the benefits side of the business for a while. Decided I'd had enough of working after 10 years and then went back to law school full time. So I was in private practice doing estate planning, business planning, tax for 16 years, and then spent time at Fifth Third Private Bank as a senior wealth strategist and actually running the wealth planning department for Private Bank before joining BKD as a wealth strategist.
All right, so maybe we'll kind of protect the names of the innocent here.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I don't know. I'm sure you've seen over the years numbers of situations maybe where things didn't go particularly well. I don't know. Do you maybe have an example or a story that you could share?
Yeah, the one that comes to mind, and again, not trying to fearmonger, but I had a business owner that built a significant business, but then took in two partners to make it grow even bigger. And the three of them were very successful in sort of taking this very local business to a national level. But what they never talked about or did anything, thinking anything through, was what happened if one of them passed away unexpectedly. And then it happened. Okay. So tangentially, they thought about it. There was sort of discussion of a buy-sell agreement between the three of them. There was a draft out there. But in addition to never getting executed and thought through, it was also never funded with life insurance or a mechanism to pay out to the estate. Well, the other two partners weren't particularly interested in being in business with the deceased partner's family and wanted to buy them out. But of course, there was a big disconnect on what they thought they should have to pay out and what the family thought it was worth. I deal a lot with business owners, both 100% owners and partners. So that discussion on what happens to the business if I'm no longer here, and that involves not only the ownership questions, but the management succession. If it's 100% owner and doesn't have another family member typically involved, but has key employees that they're going to want to retain, what's my plan around being able to keep them so that the business stays successful for the benefit of my family? So most failures in a wealth plan is not thinking through all the other sort of tangential, we think about transfer of ownership in a wealth transfer, but in a case of a business owner, it's more than just ownership. It's right. The continuation of the business itself.
Yeah, and that has just gone through a big loss of of direction and leadership right. that one of the owners provided there.
Yeah. Then it's not continuing the business; it's being preoccupied with the litigation battle. Right. That then you're not. The other partners don't have as much time to pay attention to the business as they should have, and it spirals. It just spirals.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a particularly big cost.
Yeah,
that sometimes is almost very difficult to quantify. But you just think about the emotions and the stress that comes with that. But just the loss of direction and focus because you're dealing with a legal battle. All right, let's go to the positive.
Okay,
like you said, let's do it. So is there maybe a situation where something's gone particularly well that comes to mind?
This is an interesting situation. Okay. Significantly wealthy client, business owner, knew the importance of that succession plan for the business. Children were very active in the business. And what was really interesting is I had talked to him a lot about sort of charitable and philanthropic vision, and how that could save in estate tax liability, because the charitable deduction obviously is a direct deduction off that estate tax bill. Well, I could never get him, although he was very philanthropic. I mean, well, let me say this. He was very charitable. People would come to him, people would approach him. He was very supportive, but, was just like, oh, anything that's left, I just want the kids to have it. Well, he was also very open, though, about his kids being educated on what that plan was. And it was very interesting. His adult children came back to him and said, Mom and Dad, look, we're going to be fine. We can do a lot for the community. We can do a lot, for people that really could use the help. Let's think about how we're really structuring this. We would like to help. And, though you could give it all to us and then we could do it, we realize from what you've taught us, there's advantages for doing it, you guys doing it rather than giving everything to us and letting us do whatever we want to do with it. So it was a very interesting situation that I think Lynn's sort of provides evidence that, that integrating the whole family so that they're all aware, especially when there's significant wealth that's going to be transferred, can be a very, very positive impact.
So that's like the ultimate right there, right? Because I mean, that's like the goal that you want, or the outcome that I feel like many that I work with articulate.
Yeah.
That, they want their kids to kind of reach that point.
Right. In fact, one of the children was like, hey, if we want to do this through a private foundation, I'll run the foundation. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fun to see. It was fun to watch, because then Dad's like, okay, well, if you guys are all in agreement, yeah, let's do it. So he was more concerned that, no, I just got to give it to the kids. Uh-huh. When the kids are coming back saying, hey, Dad, you've given us a lot already. We're going to be just fine with, what's here, but let's really put some of it to work for the community.
Yeah. No, that is really, it's kind of like the whole challenge of parenting, rather in general, right? Of like if you try to like force too much, then it's like they're like, oh no, I don't want to do that. But then if you don't give them anything, then they may get lost. So it's somewhere like kind of coaching and nudging, and kind of got there.
Yeah, and it's interesting to watch the dynamics of generational wealth transfer, because the values of younger people today are not necessarily the values of the older generation. So how do you balance the two?
That's the part that I'm sure makes your job very interesting and fascinating.
It does, and it also, though, makes me wish that I paid more attention in my psychology and counseling classes.
Sure. Yeah. You don't realize that getting into this profession, just how much psychology plays a pretty big role in it, right?
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah, because I'm hearing you talk about listening and going kind of big picture on things, and planning for the psychology of things. That's not all of the things that we learn about when you learn about estate planning techniques.
No, it's more than it's definitely more than that tax technique education, which is important, but
absolutely.
It's not the whole picture.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap up with kind of two quick questions for you. First one is, and it's just like the only joke that I feel like we get in estate planning is, what's your favorite 4-letter estate planning word?
I would probably go back and say grat, that grantor attain. And again, because that technique is no harm, no foul, in some cases, I think they're underused, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right. My next question is completely going a different direction on you altogether. What is your favorite musician, band, artist?
Wow, that's hard.
Hardest question asked you all day. I'm positive.
I'll go with band, so that's more than one, and I'll say U2.
All right. Well, thanks for being a sport on that one, because that's
a tough question, though.
It's a tough question, because
you
don't want to leave anybody out. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty eclectic, so it almost like, well, ask me again tomorrow. I might go a different direction. I don't know.
I've various times people ask those kind of questions, and what's your all-time favorite song? And I'm like, can I tell you my top 10?
Yeah. It's not fair to pick one, like that's. But I think that's the fun thing about music is there's just so much out there.
Exactly.
So, yeah.